Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's fourth and final video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days. For today's final video, day 10 will take us to around the 19th of October. We'll be able to extend out beyond that. We extend GFS and ECM ensembles, maybe around a couple of weeks. And we're going to have a look at CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks, which will take us into the first week of November. I'll get on with that for you in a second. Just say that the first video release was our 7 AM broadcast. We've also released the ECM WF 42 days / 6 weeks look ahead, and also weekend forecast as well. So please check out all today's videos. Like, share, subscribe on all of the vids. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. I'll tell you what's coming up tomorrow at the end of this video, of course. Right, I hope you're having a lovely Saturday afternoon. Right, let's crack on then. We're going to start off having a look at what's going on in the tropical Atlantic. So we have one disturbance area. This orange X just here is disturbance 1. It's got a 40% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours and a 40% chance of cyclone formation in the next 5 days. So with this, they're saying regardless of developments, intermittent periods of locally heavy rains and gusty winds will affect southeastern and eastern portions of North Carolina during the next day or two. An Air Force Reserve reconnaissance aircraft is scheduled to investigate below this afternoon. Additional information on this system, including gale warnings, can be found in high seas forecasts issued by the National Weather Service. Not that much about it at the moment, but they're going to put a plane up and have a look. So we shall see what comes of that later on today. Otherwise, we're going through a quieter period in the tropical Atlantic right now. Right, central temperature is looking like this. We're currently standing at 12.8, which is an anomaly of 0.6 of a degree above B61 to 1990 average, provisional to the 8th of October. Excuse me. So, of course, October is a cooling month, and a very rapidly cooling month at that. So if the CT was to stay there at 12.8 until the end of month, it would actually be a very warm October. It'd be a very mild October, getting on, you know, for one of the warmest. But of course, it's expected that the temperature will cool progressively through the month and finish up somewhere in the 10s. Let's have a look at the CT data. Go back to 1659 just to, bring October into context. So, of course, central temperature is the longest and oldest temperature record anywhere on Earth. Goes all the way back to 1659, but of course, the further back you go, the more unreliable it will become. So, if we scroll down through all of the centuries and the decades, we come down 2021 just here. We can see it has been a very strange year for CT. This year, we started out with colder than average January. February and March were very mild. We had our coldest April since 1986, our coldest May since 1996. We had a warm June and July, very warm July at 17.7. August was about average, but, you know, quite cool, really. And then September coming out warmer than August. Remember, we said that the only time this has happened, that you have September warmer than August and April colder than March in the same calendar year, was back in the year of 1750. So that just goes to show how unusual 2021 has been so far. Now, October CT is going to be placed just there. So over the past few years, October hasn't really been deviating too far from its average. So last year had an October CT of 10.5. That's not too far from average. 2019 at 10.0. Again, not far from average. 2018 coming in at 10.6. Again, not all that far from average. Our last sort of significantly warmer than average October was back in 2017, which had a CT of 12.4. If you remember, back in 2017, we had the remnants of a lot of ex-hurricanes, very active hurricane season, had the remnants of a lot of ex-hurricanes, including Hurricane Ophelia, which meant the month was quite unsettled, but also pretty warm. Our last colder than average October was actually in 2012 at 9.7. And by cold average, I'm not talking about like a tenth or two here and there. I'm talking about, you know, well below the long-term average. So in the nines, basically. And that was in 2012 at 9.7. Before that, the last colder than average October was 2008, again at 9.7. And our last very cold October was back in 2003, which had a CT of 9.2. That followed a very hot summer and came as a real shock to the system. Now, before that, we see, or around that period, despite that cold October we had in 2003, actually we have a lot of warm Octobers. The warmest October on record is in 2001, had a century temperature of 13.3. But in 2005 and 2006, we wasn't all that far from it. So we have 2005 at 13.1, 2006 at 13.0. So you know, in the early part of the first decade of this century, we do get a lot of warm Octobers, but also a couple of cold ones at 9.2 and 9.7. We go even colder than that, though. If we go back into the 1990s, we can see that we have two very cold Octobers in 1993 at 8.5 and 1992 particularly at 7.8. That was the last time we had a CT underneath 8 degrees back in October 1992. That was a very cold October, but was ultimately followed by quite a mild winter. And we can actually go even lower than that per CT, but we have to go a long way back then. We have to go right way back into the Victorian era, and we find that or probably the early Victorian era, actually we find that in 1817, we have the CT coming in at 6.4. In October. So just going to show how potentially cold October can get. Of course, this is a very long time ago. We can go colder than that. We can go back to 1740, which is an extraordinarily cold year, of course, 1740. And that one has October CT of 5.3. I mean, that's, you know, on a par with, like, January or something. So yeah, that's really, really, really cold October. On a par with December, anyway, at 5.3. But then that is an abnormally cold year. Look how cold January 1740 is at 2.8, and February to minus 2.8, I should say, and February at minus 1.6, and the overall yearly CT for 1740 is just 6.86. Exceptionally cold year, extraordinarily cold year in 1740. Interestingly, it comes after a warm decade, the 1730s, quite a warm decade with several very warm or quite hot summers, and many mild winters as well, with the yearly CTs often in the upper 9s or in the 10s. Particularly 1733 is a very warm year at 10.50. That'd be on a par, you know, with anything yearly CT now, really, back in 1733. But after that very warm decade, famously, it suddenly just flips and goes extremely cold in 1740. So you never know about the weather. Sometimes it can just flip from one regime to another. It can happen very, very, very quickly. But anyway, coming back 2021. So, yeah, let's see where we're going to finish up. It's been a while since I had a CT in the 11s. 2015 was the last time I had a CT in the 11s at 11.0. So, I wouldn't be all that surprised. We are due for an 11 Celsius CT finish for October. I wouldn't be that surprised if we finish up with an 11 Celsius CT month being placed there. But we shall see how it all plays out. So that's brought you up to date with October through the years. Right, let's have a look at the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. We're looking at Birmingham again today. Red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Birmingham. We're starting off a little bit above average with your upper air temperature at the moment. They're coming down though. As going to the 8th next week, it's going to be quite cool. We'll see the upper air temperatures beginning to lift up a little bit around the 17th to the 19th, 20th of October. That could get quite warm. And then cooling down again as we move into the final week of October. So rather up and down, maybe even signs of a little bit of zonality going on here with light cooler and warmer and potentially cooler and warmer and cooler sectors alternating with one another. I think it does with a little bit on the zonal side. But of course, over the next week to 10 days in particular, we are going to have a lot of high pressure domination. So precipitation wise, barely any rainfall spikes actually up until around the 17th or 18th of October. And then only one or two. It's not really until we get to like the 19th or 20th of October into a final week, 10 days of the month, that we find the precipitation spikes come back quite suddenly and quite quickly. And maybe a little bit dramatically so. But of course, that's extended range. I keep saying this day by day. That is extended range and within the unreliable time frame of a GFS and its ensembles. In the more reliable time frame, definitely it looks very dry over the next week to 10 days. Temperature anomalies on the 9th to 17th of October going to be a little bit warmer than average. Most parts of Europe actually looking pretty cool or cold, but we up in the far northwest of Europe, Scandinavia, Ireland and the UK, we're warmer than average again in weekend. And precipitation anomalies, as so often through this anticyclonic autumn, are coming out drier than average once more. Latest wind flow map from earthnullschool.net shows that high pressure is dominating the weather more or less over top of the country. We have very light and variable winds today. Right, let's start going through the generic chart show. Should I put webcam back up for this? Why not? So here we go then. UK Met on Tuesday. UK Met Euro. On Tuesday, high pressure is over to the west of the country, bringing in wind from the northwest. Will be cooler from the early part of next week, but mostly dry, really, through most parts of the country. And the high pressure just carries on, really, through the course of next week. But by the end of the UK Met Euro run, which gets us to midnight on Saturday, 16th of October, quite interesting. The high pressure is pushing north. It's pushing northwards, going up to Iceland and Greenland. We are starting to bring in a little bit colder air, actually, into the north. If you have a look at the upper air temperatures, we can see, but yeah, the -5 Celsius, we're just beginning to touch the north of Scotland there. Possibly going to start turning showers, maybe a little bit wintry. So, yeah, by sort of day 8, UK Met looks like it could be starting to set up a rather cold spell. This deep trough in over Scandinavia will also pull cold air into Scandinavia, and there'll be early snowfalls there with this area of low pressure. Quite an interesting end to today's UK Met. This is how the GFS midnight run is looking. Again, high pressure well and truly established and in control of the weather on Tuesday and Wednesday to Thursday, Friday. No change into weekend. The high pressure sitting over the country as well. We will have to watch out for increased risk of fog early and late with this area of high pressure, but otherwise the weather really is set there over the next week or so. By day 10, which is the 19th of October, high pressure just beginning to ease a little bit further eastwards, possibly starting to allow some lower pressure in off the Atlantic. A massive trend through the extended range as this low pressure starts to move through. That brings spells of rain and much cooler temperatures as well. Notice the midnight GFS run is building up high pressure around Greenland and Iceland, bringing some very cold air down to Scandinavia, and we're trying to pull that in on the northern side of these areas of low pressure. We eventually finish up back under high pressure again, but it's quite a cold ridge, and if that came off, I think that would be producing night frost and certainly the risk of fog by that point. Scandinavia and northeastern Europe to western Russia looking really quite cold with northerly winds. This is how the GFS 6Z is looking, this very latest GFS run. Of course, again, high pressure dominates on Tuesday, bringing those with dry and fine weather, and this high pressure vest carries on through the week and on into weekend as well. Gradually, the high pressure easing southeastward, so but by day 10 and beyond, low pressure is breaking through, starting to turn wet and windy. Heights rising again around Greenland, a little bit of northern blocking, starting to pull colder air in from the north as that low pressure exits away into Scandinavia. In more extended range, low pressure pushes up from the south. That brings heavy rain with it, running into quite cold air, might even be kind of a little bit of snow across northern parts of Scotland. And we finish up with GFS 6Z on Monday, 25th of October, looking cool and unsettled. So a big flip there in the third week of October, something much, much wetter and rather colder as well. GM looking like this. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button, make sure to sub to the channel. Thank you so much everybody for doing that, and drop a comment down so what you think about this and all of our videos. We've got to put on around 60 subscribers now, that's all, to get to 12.3k, so please give us a sub. Thank you so much for doing that. Right, so this will be GM. It's looking high pressure again, dominates, although there could be some show rain in the far north and northeast early next week, but basically we're high pressure dominated through most of next week. High pressure again pushing out to our west a little bit towards the end of next week, and then coming back in again. So that's how we finish up with the GM. High pressure won't truly establish over to the north country. Going nowhere fast at that point. We are bringing in a little bit more of a east or northeast wind, which might deliver some cooler temperatures and showers into the southeast. But basically, the story with the GM is that from beginning to end, it's high pressure all the way. And then the ECM WF looks like this. Again, high pressure over to west of the country on Tuesday. Rather cooler northerly influence, though, with that area of high pressure, meaning particularly at night, we'll have some cooler nights to come. And then cold front pushing south for the second half of next week. That could bring a band of rain south, probably weakening rain, and reintroducing like a cooler wind from the north. High pressure and collapsing in over the country next weekend before finally showing signs of declining rain by day 10. Low pressure starts coming in off the Atlantic on the 19th of October. It looks like turning more unsettled, maybe for a final, an unsettled sort of final week to 10 days of October. It's all about how quickly this high pressure declines, or whether it declines. It may not do. This is how the ECM precipitation forecast is looking, or the precipitation forecast looking based on that ECM run from meteo.com. So at the moment, we've got rain in the northwest. That will fizzle out as it pushes southeastwards over the next 12 hours or so. And then most of any precipitation is going to be in the far north of the country. Most areas will be dry, especially so down in the south. There's that cold front coming southwards for the second half of next week, but it will be a weakening feature, and the high pressure back in again into next weekend before it finally begins to decline away and some proper rain starts moving in off the Atlantic as we push on towards day 10. It does turn more unsettled. But that's days 9 and 10 for it to turn definitively unsettled. A long way out, of course, in this pattern. Right, so let's get rid of webcam and we'll have a look at the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10. These are them from the Icelandic Met Office. Gets us to the 19th of October. 22 members of the ECM ensembles have high pressure over sites to the south of the country, low pressure to our north and northeast. Still mainly anticyclonic with that. Could be a little bit more unsettled for more northern areas, but basically we're under high pressure. 17 have high pressure declining away to our south. We're bringing in low pressure from off the Atlantic along the jet stream. That does include the control and the operational run. And then 12 have high pressure right over top of the country. So, I mean, the operational run probably not all that well supported, actually, by its ensemble. 17 have us definitively unsettled by day 10. But if you put the 22 here with the 12 here, we probably still, actually, within the ECM ensembles are favouring some sort of influence of high pressure by day 10 or at day 10. In 2 weeks' time, though, it really is a case of all change. This is the option on the table for the 24th of October. And look at this, 51 out of 51 members, all of them have low pressure well and truly in control of the weather over and to the northeast of the country. So much more unsettled, spells of rain coming in, and you know also cooler as well. I think with that we're bringing in quite cool air from the northwest with this trough of low pressure over to the northeast of the country. So there is differences about how quickly it happens, whether it's happened by day 10, but certainly by day 14, it does look as though we are into really unsettled weather there with the ECM ensembles today. Right, CFS V2 finally, and then we're done with the video. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period takes from the 9th to 15th of October. The coming week have above average heights over and slightly to west of the country. And we'll pull in the wind from like a northerly direction. So it'll be mainly dry, but temperatures will be cooler and closer to average. Week 2 is going to be the 16th, 22nd of October with high pressure over slightly to the north of the country. Around the high pressure, we bring in the winds from like a east or northeast direction, mainly dry. And again, could be a little bit on the cool side. Week 3 shows a high pressure beginning to decline, perhaps. This is 23rd, 29th of October. It looks like the high pressure is sort of collapsing and slipping southwards and southeastwards. Low pressure in the Atlantic with the jet stream as well, probably turning things more unsettled in that particular week. But not for long. Look at this. Week 4 is the 30th of October to the 5th of November and gets us back to high pressure. Again, we just can't shake it off, can we, this area of high pressure. This time it's right over top of Cancer, and possibly even pulling in something rather cold from the east and from the northeast. For that, you need high pressure go a little bit further northwards, but we're not all that far away there, I don't think, from pulling in some quite cold air from the northeast. Notice how that does connect back to the Siberian high as well. This is the Siberian high just here. It does connect back to that. So it's a big area of high pressure, and it is connecting back to the Siberian high there by week 4, which is going into November, of course, up to bonfire night. Could we have a cold bonfire night? Maybe we will. Have to see. Right, if you enjoyed the video, please can you smash the like button and make sure you are subscribed to our channel. You'll be able to see future weather content. If you do that, tell your friends and family to subscribe as well. Help get us to 13,000 subscribers, which is our ultimate target. Thanks so much, everyone, for doing this. And drop a comment and say what you think about this and all of our videos. Right, and we're done with today's content. So thank you so much, everybody, for checking out today's videos. Just say, if you're a channel member, there will be a channel members live stream at 5 PM this afternoon. So check in if you're a channel member. But otherwise, that's it for today's content. Tomorrow, we're going to start off with 7 AM broadcast. We've got part 1 of a sick Winter 2021-2022 update. It could be a real epic. We'll start off with the swingometer. So you'll see how last week's 5th update has affected the swingometer. Will it be static? Will we have had a swing to cold? Could we have had a swing to mild? You'll find out. It's the first thing you see in part 1 of Sick Winter 2021-2022 update. Got more on the daddy of cold winters as well, 1962, 1963. I'll have a little bit more on that. And just generally, you know, what to look at in part 1, which is like ENSO and C7 temperature monitoring, snow cover, all of that will be coming up from 10 AM tomorrow morning. It'll be a real epic. And then we'll be live streaming from 6 PM. So, yes, I should see you live at 6 tomorrow, where I'm sure you'll have questions about the winter update. Of course, it's steady live stream, so I have to do some long range. I think we'll show you tower pangs, analogs, and we'll have data from the CFS V2 as well. And that'll be coming up from 6 PM tomorrow. You enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and for today's videos, though, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.